You've been told 100% beef means quality. It doesn't. The #1 selling brand in America uses meat forced through an industrial process so aggressively that reviewers describe the result as hot dog flavored mousse. I went through independent taste tests, USDA inspection records, and ingredient labels. And what I found will change how you look at the meat aisle. We're naming 9 brands that don't live up to the label, and 11 that actually do. And the Warehouse Club brand that beats the gourmet labels? You won't expect it. Ready? Number 9, Boar's Head. I know what you're thinking. Boar's Head? Yeah, but hear me out, because this one is personal for a lot of people. For over a century, Boar's Head was the brand I'd point anyone toward when they wanted to buy better. The deli counter gold standard. Then 2024 happened, and the crown didn't just slip, it shattered. A listeria contamination event linked to their Jarrett, Virginia facility resulted in significant casualties and forced dozens of consumers into critical care, triggering a recall of 7 million pounds of meat. Here's what I need you to understand about why this matters beyond the headline. This wasn't a freak accident. I pulled the USDA inspection records, government documents publicly available to anyone, and found over 60 documented instances of non-compliance at that plant between 2023 and 2024. Mold growth, dripping ceilings, pooled fluids on production floors. That's systemic failure, not a single bad day. And here's something worth knowing. You can check these records yourself at the USDA's FSIS website for any plant, any brand, at any time. That skill is worth more than this list. The facility has since reopened following a reported $50 million renovation and the appointment of a new chief food safety officer. I'll give them that. And here's the uncomfortable truth. On ingredients alone, their uncured beef frankfurters are technically top tier. USDA choice beef. Natural sheep casing, no fillers. The frank itself is excellent. Whether a $50 million renovation is enough to rebuild 120 years of trust, that's a personal question only you can answer. Next, a regional icon whose hot dog can't survive without its toppings. Number 8, Skyline Chili Plain Hot Dog. I have a lot of respect for what Skyline Chili has built in Cincinnati. The cult following is real. The experience is genuinely beloved. But when tasting tables stripped away the famous chili and cheese and tested the frank on its own merits, what they found was, in the words of multiple blind tasters, very tiny, shriveled, and sad. It barely edged out the bottom-ranked brand by an ounce more flavor. It's the smallest frank in any comparative test I came across, almost comically undersized. And I'll be fair, Skyline devotees will tell you that you're missing the point by eating it plain. They may be right. This hot dog was designed as a delivery vehicle for a specific experience. But if the frank itself can't stand alone, what you're really buying is the sauce. The frank is a vessel, not a product. Speaking of vessels, Sonic's bun is bigger than the hot dog inside it. Make that make sense. Number 7, Sonic All-American Dog. I've always respected what Sonic built around customization. Dozens of topping combos, quirky drinks, car hops on roller skates. But none of that creativity made its way into the frank itself. When I looked at Tasting Table's breakdown of the All-American Dog, the details told the story. The bun arrives dry and oversized for the frank sitting inside it, a presentation gap that signals something rushed in the supply chain. The sausage itself didn't have a super strong, savory flavor, with reviewers comparing it directly to a stadium warmer frank with no clear timeline. Here's the label detail I want you to take with you. All-American has no legal definition. None. It's a marketing phrase that tells you nothing about sourcing, cut quality, or curing method. I'm paying for a brand feeling, not a food standard. That's the kind of labeling gap worth knowing before your next order. If you're starting to see the pattern here, subscribe, because the only way to protect what you're eating is to actually know what's behind the label. All done? Let's keep going. Number 6. Oscar Mayer Classic Wieners. Oscar Mayer has been in the wiener business since the 1800s. The Wienermobile, the jingle, the lunchboxes, the brand is practically embedded in American culture, which is exactly what makes the ingredient reality so jarring when you actually look at it. The takeout found that Oscar Mayer Classic Wieners contain no real spices and no natural ingredients, relying instead on ultra-processed additives, including sodium phosphate and sodium nitrite. According to the Environmental Working Group, sodium nitrite is flagged as an ingredient of higher concern in processed foods, and the WHO has classified processed meats in the highest risk category for that specific compound. What the front of the Oscar Mayer package communicates, heritage, quality, tradition, is not what the ingredient list reflects. The takeout concluded plainly, not as premium as sometimes thought. At this point, the Wienermobile might be the most nutritious thing the brand has produced. The cheese-stuffed version, however, manages to be even worse. Same brand, lower bar. Somehow they cleared it. Number 5. Oscar Mayer Cheese Stuffed Hot Dogs. If the classic wiener is a letdown, the cheese-stuffed variant is a full collapse. Daily Meal ranked these the worst cheese-stuffed hot dog on the market, and the description wasn't polite. Reviewers called them truly disgusting, flagging an off-putting smell from the moment the package opened. The cheese filling delivered what one taster described as a bizarre, artificial seafood-like flavor. That description should never appear in a review of a beef product. Finishing even one was described as a genuine challenge. Here's the label mechanic I want you to understand. The term processed cheese product is legally permitted to contain as little as 51% actual cheese. The remaining 49% can be emulsifiers, stabilizers, and flavor compounds with no individual disclosure required. The gap between cheese stuffed on the front of the package and what you're actually consuming is worth your attention. 2 Oscar Mayer entries on this list, neither of them close. Ballpark sells more hot dogs than almost anyone. The numbers don't tell the full story. Number 4. Ballpark Beef Hot Dogs. Ballpark is one of America's best-selling hot dog brands by volume. Sales figures, unfortunately, don't reflect ingredient integrity. The Environmental Working Group gave their beef franks one of its worst scores, citing an ultra-processed ingredient profile and elevated saturated fat content. Each link delivers 35% of the Institute of Medicine's daily sodium threshold, and that's against a benchmark already stricter than what the FDA mandates on standard nutrition labels. 9 grams of saturated fat per frank, which the American Heart Association flags as approaching a full day's recommended limit according to their published dietary guidelines. The ingredient list includes corn syrup, sodium phosphate, sodium diacetate, and sodium nitrite. The brand did shift some lines to celery powder in 2017 and labeled them uncured. But as nutritional researchers have documented in peer-reviewed literature, the chemistry of nitrates from celery powder behaves similarly in processed form to synthetic nitrites. The label changed. The chemistry largely did not. Independent reviews describe the texture as awful and super soft. The sales numbers don't reflect that. Maybe they should. Bar S is what happens when caring was never part of the business model. Before the final 3, and trust me, you want to be sitting down for these? Here's how to choose the right hot dog brand. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Start with the ingredient list. The best hot dogs are simple: beef, water, salt, spices. If you see mechanically separated or variety meats, that's processed remnants, and the label is required to tell you. Put it back. Next, check the EST number. Every package has a USDA inspection seal with an EST number. Look it up in the USDA database. Open www.fsis.usda.gov. Go to the Meat, Poultry, and Egg Product Inspection Directory, and you can see the facility's inspection record, sanitation issues, violations, all of it. And ignore the front of the label. Words like premium or all-American don't mean anything legally. Simple ingredients, clean record. That's how you choose. Number 3. Bar S Classic Franks. $1 for an 8-pack sounds like a deal. The moment you open the package, you begin to understand why. Bar S Classic Franks have finished near or at the bottom of virtually every independent taste test I could find. PureWow ranked them last out of 13 brands, scoring just 40 out of 100. The 12th place finisher, made entirely from pea and soy protein, scored 30 points higher. Thrillist ranked them 20th out of 22. The texture description that appears consistently across reviews: hot dog flavored mousse, smooth, airy, almost spreadable, with no snap whatsoever. Multiple reviews also report finding cartilage and bone fragments inside. The ingredient label explains everything. Mechanically separated chicken is the primary protein. Here's what that process actually involves. Carcass material is forced through a high-pressure industrial sieve, separating residual meat from bone and connective tissue at speed. The FDA requires this to be disclosed on the label, and it is, right there, in small print, as the first ingredient. The price makes sense now. Walmart put its name on the next one, because the same shortcuts, sold as quality, is an entirely different conversation. Number 2. Great Value, Walmart Hot Dogs. Great Value is Walmart's house brand promise. Equivalent quality at a lower price. When it comes to hot dogs, independent data tells a different story. Consumer reports and multiple taste tests have consistently placed these near the bottom of comparative rankings, with mechanically separated chicken again listed as the primary ingredient. Same high-pressure sieve process as Bar S, but here, without even the price justification of the dollar pack. This is a product carrying Walmart's name. The texture reviews are consistent, soft, mushy, unnaturally smooth. The ingredient list also includes corn syrup and maltodextrin, a highly processed starch, alongside sodium nitrite. Multiple independent nutritional flags appearing simultaneously on a single label. And here's the label truth that matters most. Great Value is a brand name, not a regulated nutritional claim. There is no legal standard a product must meet to carry that name. The packaging implies a promise. The ingredient list doesn't keep it. And then there's number 1, a century of tradition, 780 milligrams of sodium, and a label exploiting every available loophole. Number 1, Sugardale Jumbo Franks. A century-old brand marketing itself on family tradition. The name implies something wholesome. Small batches, old recipes, generational pride. The ingredient label tells a different story. Mechanically separated chicken is the first ingredient listed on the standard Sugardale Jumbo Frank, followed by pork, corn syrup, modified food starch, and sodium nitrite. That same high-pressure sieve process, that same composite protein profile. But what separates Sugardale from every brand above it on this list is the sodium. At 780 milligrams per frank, before condiments, before the bun, before the second one. That's over half the American Heart Association's published daily recommended limit in a single link. The EWG flags the sodium at 49% of the Institute of Medicine's daily adequate intake per frank. Their uncured line swaps synthetic nitrites for cultured celery powder and cherry powder. The USDA still requires the label to say uncured. As nutritional researchers have documented, the preservative chemistry remains functionally similar in processed form. The label changed. The sodium didn't. 780 milligrams. Pause on that number. The good list, 11 brands that are actually great. Most people assume the only way to avoid what I just showed you is to spend $15 a pack at a specialty butcher. But I'm about to show you that the brand sitting at number 2 on this list costs less than most of the moose dogs we just covered. Here's who's actually doing it right. Number 11, Members Mark Beef Franks, Sam's Club. Not every great hot dog requires a premium price or a specialty store trip, and Members Mark is the proof. Sam's Club's house brand earned an honorable mention in AOL's comparative taste test, with editors describing these quarter-pound franks in terms usually reserved for steakhouse cuts. Firm, but still with the soft, chewy texture of a proper hot dog, balancing salt and smoke in a way that more expensive brands frequently fail to achieve. From an ingredient standpoint, Members Mark lists 100% beef as the primary protein. No mechanically separated chicken blends. No composite protein fillers. For a bulk warehouse brand, that's a meaningful gap above what most budget competitors are offering. One practical note, these franks are significantly larger than standard size, so a standard bun is going to come up short on both ends. Plan accordingly. But for a cookout with a warehouse budget and Sam's Club access, this is one of the most underrated options in the category. Want that same warehouse value with a cleaner sourcing story? Next. Number 10. Welshire Farms Uncured Beef Hot Dogs. Welshire Farms operates on a clear, verifiable philosophy. No antibiotics, no hormones, no added nitrites. Their cattle are vegan-fed, which produces a noticeably deeper red hue in the finished frank. That color is coming from the meat itself, not from sodium nitrites curing chemistry. The sodium content is one of the lowest I found in this entire category, 390 milligrams per frank. That's roughly 170 milligrams less than a ballpark beef frank, a meaningful gap for anyone paying attention to their intake. Each frank also delivers 7 grams of protein. One label clarification worth making. The USDA requires brands to use the term uncured, even when natural nitrates from celery juice are used as a preservative. Welcher uses celery juice. The preservative chemistry is present. It's from a plant source. The rest of the ingredient profile, however, is genuinely clean. Niman Ranch takes clean ingredients and adds something Welcher doesn't have, that snap. Number 9. Niman Ranch Uncured Beef Franks. Niman Ranch maintains one of the most rigorous sourcing standards I've come across in the conventional meat industry. Their cattle and pigs come exclusively from small family farms operating under third-party verified, humanely raised protocols. No antibiotics, no hormones, independently audited. That commitment runs all the way through to the ingredient list. Their grass-fed Angus beef franks use natural casings, which produce an audible snap on the first bite that synthetic casing franks simply cannot replicate. Multiple reviewers confirm the snap is consistent across batches, not the lottery it becomes with some premium brands. At around $8 per pack, Niman Ranch sits firmly in the premium tier, but the price reflects what's actually in the package, not a marketing premium layered on top of a mediocre product. This is what the word premium is supposed to mean: verifiable sourcing, clean ingredients, and a result that justifies the cost. Niman Ranch earns the snap. The next brand earns something rarer, a 6-ingredient list with nothing to hide. Number 8, Applegate Naturals Uncured Beef Hot Dogs. Applegate has built its entire brand identity around what it leaves out, and the ingredient list confirms the commitment. Their uncured beef hot dogs are made from 100% grass-fed, pasture-raised cattle with no antibiotics or hormones. Every ingredient is individually listed. No catch-all natural flavors hiding undisclosed compounds behind a legal umbrella. The full list: beef, water, sea salt, garlic, paprika, and onion. 6 ingredients. No sodium nitrite, no phosphates, no corn syrup. Independent reviewers across multiple platforms have called these the best hot dogs hands down. One honest caveat: the garlic is pronounced and forward. Know your crowd. For garlic fans, that's not a flaw. That's the entire point. 6 ingredients and a cult following. The next brand has decades of street-level proof to back up its reputation. Number 7. Sabrett Natural Casing Beef Frankfurters. Sabrett is the hot dog of New York City. The blue and yellow umbrella carts are as much a part of the Manhattan streetscape as yellow taxis and scaffolding. And that cultural presence isn't accidental. It reflects a product that has earned repeat customers for decades through consistency, not marketing spend. The secret is in the casing. Sabrett uses natural sheep casing, which tightens under heat to create resistance before each bite, then releases a burst of juice in a way that synthetic casings simply cannot replicate. In Epicurious's blind taste test with professional chefs, Sabrett was identified by its plump, glistening appearance and really great snap. The only note from chefs: slightly saltier than Nathan's, though their uncured line brings sodium down to a competitive 350 milligrams. No filler blends, no composite proteins. For a brand with this level of street-level trust over this many decades, the ingredient list actually backs up the reputation. That combination is rarer than it should be. Sabrett owns New York. The next brand has been holding a higher standard than the law requires since 1905. Number 6, Hebrew National Beef Franks. Hebrew National has operated under kosher certification since 1905, and that means production oversight going beyond standard USDA inspection at every stage: sourcing, processing, handling, and facility cleanliness. Triangle K certification demands stricter controls than most consumers realize. The result is a frank made from 100% premium beef with no byproducts, no filler blends, and no composite proteins. Consumer Reports praise these for juiciness and a clean flavor profile, described across reviews as tasting like a summer afternoon at the ballpark, but delivered by actual beef quality rather than brand nostalgia. around 6 grams of protein per link. The frank does contain sodium nitrite, and Hebrew National produces an uncured line worth investigating for those who want to avoid it entirely. But for taste, ingredient transparency, and a sourcing standard that is independently enforced rather than self-certified, Hebrew National remains one of the clearest benchmarks in this category. A century of kosher standards. The next brand matches that integrity and somehow costs less than your average grocery run. Number 5. Trader Joe's uncured beef hot dogs. Trader Joe's keeps doing something that should be far more common than it is, delivering clean label food that genuinely tastes great at a price that doesn't require a second thought. Their uncured beef franks were ranked the #1 hot dog brand by MASH, praised for the biggest, beefiest flavor, the perfect level of saltiness, and a length that extends past the ends of an average hot dog bun. More frank per bun, not less. The ingredient list: beef, water, garlic powder, paprika, sugar, mustard, natural smoke flavor, and natural preservatives through cultured celery powder and cherry powder. No sodium nitrite, no corn syrup, no mechanically separated anything. One label note worth making: the USDA requires all celery powder preserved products to say uncured. That's a federal labeling rule, not a Trader Joe's deception. Reddit communities that track hot dog quality consistently compare these to Hebrew National in taste and texture at a fraction of the price. If you have a Trader Joe's near you, use it. Trader Joe's delivers on taste and price. The next brand delivers on something harder to fake. It won a blind taste test with professional chefs. Number 4, 365 by Whole Foods Market Organic Uncured Grass-Fed Beef Hot Dogs. Consumer Reports named these the snappiest dog in their 2025 rankings. The Kitchen's blind taste test, 7 participants, 10 brands, no labels visible, crowned them the outright winner. More than half of all tasters ranked this their #1 choice. The description that kept coming back: classic but better. That's a genuinely hard target to hit. The ingredient list is the cleanest I found at any mainstream scale: organic grass-fed beef, water, sea salt, organic vinegar, celery powder, and organic spices. No sodium nitrite, no corn syrup, no phosphates, no synthetic preservatives. The franks are also the thickest of any brand I came across, roughly the circumference of a quarter. At around $6.99 for 6, I'm getting organic, grass-fed, independently top-ranked beef at a price that doesn't require a special occasion. This is clean label hot dog production done properly, the snappiest dog in the rankings. The next brand has held the same formula since 1916 because it was right the first time. Number 3. Nathan's Famous Natural Casing Beef Frankfurters. In Epicurious's blind taste test with professional chefs, Nathan's Famous won. It wasn't close. Chefs praised the excellent snap and natural casing, describing the flavor as iconic beef with no fillers or byproducts. One chef put it directly: "This is exactly what I'm looking for. I get that initial snap of the casing. No filler means no bulking agents. No byproducts means no offal or mechanically separated meat." Consumer Reports placed Nathan's at the top of their 2026 rankings: the Goldilocks of hot dogs, crisp skin, subtle spice, uniform texture, and juicy. The formula is unchanged since 1916. 100% beef, natural sheep casing, garlic, paprika. Nathan's also produces a fully uncured line using cultured celery juice and cherry powder for those who want the same quality with a cleaner preservative profile. This is the frank every other brand gets quietly measured against. Nathan's set the benchmark. The next brand has been beating it at $1.50 since 1985. Number 2, Kirkland's Signature Beef Hot Dogs, Costco. If you've ever had the famous Costco food court combo, the $1.50 hot dog and soda that Costco has deliberately held at that price since 1985 as a consumer loyalty statement, you've already eaten this frank. The retail pack is the same product. Food Republic rated Kirkland's Signature the best hot dog in the country, and the ingredient profile explains why I agree. Made from 100% USDA inspected beef with no byproducts, no corn syrup, and no filler blends, these franks lead with garlic and paprika that delivers real savory depth, nothing hidden behind natural flavors. The snap is genuine. The juicy center holds. The flavor is richer than the price point suggests. Reviewers consistently note the consistency holds batch to batch, a challenge at mass production scale that most brands quietly fail. If you have a Costco membership, there's almost no reason to buy a different brand. The $1.50 food court is the proof of concept. Costco proved you don't have to choose between clean ingredients and an honest price. Number 1 proves you don't have to choose between any of it. Number 1, Applegate Organics Uncured Beef Hot Dogs. I've saved the top spot for the brand that simultaneously achieves what most others treat as competing goals: clean sourcing, transparent labeling, no synthetic additives, and a taste that holds its own against cured premium Franks. Applegate Organics takes the Applegate Naturals standard further. USDA certified organic beef, 100% grass-fed, pasture-raised, with every spice ingredient individually disclosed on the label. No natural flavors. Umbrella, no hidden compounds. Every item listed, every sourcing claim independently verified. Their uncured approach uses cultured celery juice, disclosed transparently on the label, right where you can see it. Applegate is also one of the few brands actively pursuing regenerative farming partnerships, meaning the sourcing supports the land as well as the animal. Food Republic and multiple independent reviewers call this the closest thing to a true clean Frank at mainstream retail scale. It's what the label says it is. In 2026, that alone earns the top spot. I have no affiliation with any brand on this list. No sponsorships, no partnerships. Everything I've shown you comes from independent taste tests, published inspection records, and what's actually printed on the label. And that's the point. The label is always where to start, because when you read it closely, the pattern doesn't change. If the ingredient list is doing too much, the product usually is too. And once you see it here, you start seeing it everywhere. I broke that same pattern down in bacon. 17 grocery store bacon brands to avoid, and 7 that are actually worth buying. Watch that next. The meat aisle won't look the same again.